The TikTok ban is probably going to happen. Let's talk about the two things that artists can rely on to show their work online. That would be your email list and also your website. I'm going to walk back on some advice that I used to give artists starting out regarding which one to set up first, your website or your Instagram. I used to say that Instagram was the fastest to set up and that it really wasn't that important that you had a website until you were really ready to work professionally as an artist and wanted a place to, say, send curators to see your work. I take that back. I can speak from personal experience having our Instagram hacked, how incredibly stressful that was. We were very lucky that we did get our account back, but I was really shaken by that experience, knowing that everything I invested to get to that point could just go up in smoke. And now Meta is telling us that they are using all public Instagram posts in order to train their AI systems. We are still on Instagram. We have a fairly big following over there. I'm not quite yet ready to give it up, but it's something that I'm getting prepared for. I really feel for all of the creators on TikTok who, in a lot of cases, their livelihoods are on there. We never really had a gigantic TikTok following. The ban is not really going to impact us that much, but it did get me thinking as well about editing software, because a lot of the people who use TikTok have gotten really used to using CapCut. But with the ban, they're also going to lose CapCut. So many of these platforms, you are able to edit inside the platform. For example, YouTube Shorts, you can do it. You can also do it on Instagram Reels. But I think it's not a great idea to get used to editing inside a social media platform. As we've seen with TikTok and CapCut, that's a real problem. Thing about editing is that it takes time to learn, to get used to the software. I'd be devastated if I had to start over because I used CapCut all this time. Editing is a skill and it takes time to learn. And even somebody like me, who is a very experienced editor, I would still have trouble moving over to another platform. The editing app that I highly recommend is Videoleap. I'm like a walking advertisement because they are so user-friendly. I found that the workflow was so efficient that I actually don't really use Premiere that much. I started editing videos entirely on Premiere, and now it's very rare for me to do that. 95% of what I edit is all done in Videoleap. If something happens to Instagram, I don't have to worry about my editing software. Looking back on all of the dramatic social media changes with X and now Blue Sky is on the horizon as well, I'm grateful that we've been on YouTube all these years and that YouTube really is the vast majority of our audience. It seems to be the social media platform that is making people mad the least. But the thing about YouTube, it's really not a great place for artists unless you really want to make videos. And I know so many artists have zero interest in that. They really want to focus on their studio practice, sharing images of the work. YouTube is not a great place for a lot of artists who are not that interested in all of the editing and production that goes into making a successful channel. One thing to understand about social media platforms is that I really look at them as feeding each other. For example, a lot of people find us on YouTube, but then they discover we have an Instagram and they'll follow us there. And the opposite thing happens. Maybe people find us on Instagram and then eventually they find our YouTube. Artists, it's a good idea to step back and look at all the places that you have your work online and what feeds into each other. An email list has always been extremely important, but I find a lot of people don't invest very much, or they don't let people know that they have an email list. We've had our email list for years and years. We're lucky that we do have a significant list now. And even with social media, I rely on our email list because, first of all, not everybody has social media. Second of all, the email list is guaranteed. Even if I show up in somebody's inbox and they delete it right away, they still have to see that my name was in their inbox. I could put out an announcement on YouTube, and depending on the algorithm, people who subscribe are not guaranteed to get that. That's what I really like about the email list, is that it is guaranteed your name is going to show up in that inbox. The other nice thing about an email list is you can also export the file. If you wanted to change platforms for any reason, that's another way to do it. Make sure, though, with an email list that you're doing it through a platform. Nothing makes me more crazy than these artists who have, let's say, a list in Gmail that they send announcements to, but the problem with those is you can't unsubscribe, and that really drives me crazy. There's like 2 people in my life who keep sending me those emails, and I'm sorry, I just don't want to subscribe. Your website really is truly the one place online where you can control 100% what is seen by people. It's not going to get taken over at any point. Get a website if you haven't set one up already. I know there's so many templates that a lot of website platforms offer that are fairly easy to use. I will say, if you have a website, one of the most important things to have is the domain name. I know it costs money and a lot of people don't want to pay it, but that domain name is so critical. People have no idea. I was on Instagram the other day and I was trying to tag an artist who was in one of our videos a really long time ago, and I could not remember their Instagram handle at all. Like, I wasn't even close. And I tried so many combinations, none of it worked, and I had to scroll way, way back to find this artist's Instagram. It's just a huge pain. And if you have a domain name that is clearly yours, or it's really easy to remember, oh my gosh, it's such a big difference in terms of interacting with people professionally and getting them to remember who you are. Spend that money to get that domain name. It is really a deal breaker in a lot of cases. I see the email list as your website as going back and forth, because you can put something in your website so that way people can subscribe to your email. And then on your email list, you can also embed links that send them to specific pages on your website. There's an argument that an email list is not very effective because people hate email. A lot of the emails get deleted instantaneously. I am totally guilty of doing exactly that, which is why frequency of your emails becomes incredibly important, and also the content. The emails I get from artists that get deleted the fastest are the ones where it's just clear-cut announcement about this one thing. The emails that I do read are the ones that read like a personal letter that I'm getting from somebody, that it's a narrative letter that they are writing. I really like those because they feel a lot more intimate. I'm hearing something really specific about what that person is doing. When I get an email and it says exhibition, opening, reception, this time, here's the date. I mean, that's nice, but I'm really not going to spend a lot of time with that. And length matters too. I mean, I confess that I'm guilty of writing very long emails, but the thing is, I really like writing emails, and I know that is a facet of what we do here that people do enjoy, that I don't write emails that are one paragraph and that's it. I oftentimes do a fairly deep dive on a certain topic, and I always make sure in my emails that I'm providing something educational so people benefit from reading that email. It's not good if you write something personal, but it's just full of fluff. One thing I do is after I write the initial draft of the email, I always go back and I basically eliminate any word or sentence that is not helping what it is I want to talk about. That oftentimes cuts back on the length significantly, and it also ensures that what I'm writing really is dense, that it's not just me saying, hey, that was really fun. I mean, that's cool, but it's not really that fun to read something like that, which is so vague and generic. One of the other reasons I'm really seeing email as potential for lots of artists is that there has been a huge rise of writers, journalists who have moved to Substack, and that's where they write articles and all different kinds of things to send to their audience. And I really think perhaps artists can do something similar there, that we create something on the email list that feels a lot more personal, where we don't have to worry about AI scraping our information, and that it's also a place to keep the website getting some traction. Naturally, the website is never going to get the kind of daily traction that Instagram is going to get, but it's there. It is home base. It is that rock solid file cabinet that you don't go there all the time, but it is important. I went a really long time not updating my website. And then a couple months ago, I thought, oh gosh, I need to get my act together. And I finally updated it with all kinds of things. And I didn't realize updating my website, how incredibly helpful it was for me to really take a step back at what I was doing, because I've been doing all of these bread fairy pieces on and off, never in a consistent linear manner. And I always looked at them thinking, oh gosh, these are so haphazard. Some of them are colored pencils, some of them are marker drawings. I don't feel like these are cohesive at all. But you know something, when I put together the website page and I saw all of the thumbnails of the bread fairy images, it all made sense. And I looked at that page and thought, wow, I really do have something that is cohesive. Same thing happened with my illustration, which has been very here or there, nothing consistent. Again, I guess nothing about my studio practice is consistent ever, but I didn't really think I had that much work. And I put together a website page that I thought I could send to art directors. And I looked at that page and I thought, wow, I have a bunch of pieces. Maybe I actually am ready to send some of this work to art directors. And that's what got me to actually do that. That is one thing about a website that I do really appreciate, is you really feel like you're seeing yourself from a distance. And I think a lot of us don't get the opportunity to do that when we're just throwing things on Instagram one at a time. It just feels super fragmented. And so I really appreciated getting that curated look at the work that I do, because I do share so much work in progress. I talk about materials, and sometimes the finished artwork, it gets really lost in all of that imagery, and the website just gave me this crystal clear look at what my work was really about. But the issue with the website is it is very difficult to do it well. Whenever people ask me to review their websites, the number one problem I see across the board, people always have way too much of everything on their website. I'm always telling people to remove things. It's extremely rare that I would review somebody's website and tell them, oh, you need to add all of these things. The only time I really do that is if somebody has, let's say, a gallery of oil paintings and there's only 2 paintings in there. In that case, I definitely would say, okay, you probably want to have at least 8 or 10 images to warrant having a gallery page. But there's so many times on websites I see so much information that is just total clutter. For example, on a contact page, I oftentimes people write things like, please get in touch, email me if you have an idea for a commission or if you want to work with me. Nothing makes me leave a website faster than if I can't find the thing that I want immediately. And if I can't find your contact within 2 seconds, I'm gone. And that can be a big difference. In general, the rule with your website is you want it as clean as possible, because the second I go to somebody's website and I see that it's just a mess, it makes me not want to go back. I would recommend to all artists right now, stay on whatever social media platform you want to be on. But I think it is time to go in and really spruce up your website. Make sure that you have that email list going. You want to have it linked in a bunch of different areas, because really these are the only two things we can guarantee. Tell me in the comments, what's been your experience with an email list, with a website, and also where do you stand with some of the other existing platforms like Instagram and YouTube? We're all figuring this out together, and I hope that I can provide updates as far as what to do next.